It's no fun. With Verizon, there's up to 7 entertainment subscriptions with your unlimited plan. That's 7 times the... 7 times the... No! 7 times the... Music, gaming, Disney+, Hulu, ESPN+, and more. That's 7 times the entertainment!
Because everyone deserves better. And with plans starting at just $35, better costs less than you think.
This is the BCSN Pod Zone, your place for the news, views, and conversations about all things related to HBCU athletics. Here are the BCSN Sports Wrap, Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab, Knights of the Round Table, the pregame show, the Carlos Brown Show, the ONG Strike Zone, and more in one place. We are changing the way you consume HBCU sports, one broadcast at a time.
Your ad could be ran here. MyJBN.com/support. MyJBN.com/support for more information.
Let's get back to strolling instead of scrolling. Before we can safely come together, we need the facts on COVID-19 vaccines. Visit getvaccineanswers.org so you can make an informed decision for yourself and for your family.
Nope. Nope.
Come on, him.
Ooh, I like him.
Quick, the quicker picker-upper. Bounty picks up messes quicker, and each sheet is 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less.
He's an 8.
He's a 9.
Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
Support the Black College Sports Network so we can continue to provide you coverage. Go to myjbn.com/support and be a part of the Black College Sports Network.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavill of Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. Okay, welcome back to the ONG Strike Zone. Brian Fulford, Kelvin Roser, Kofi Hemingway. It's a pleasure to be joined by FAMU Interim Athletic Director Michael Smith. Joining us, AD Smith. How you doing this evening?
I am doing good, Brian. Thanks for having me. And how are you guys doing?
We doing well, man, doing well.
Doing good.
Look,
it's football season, Mike. So we happy.
Hey, it's football season, it's cross country season, it's volleyball season.
Yep, volleyball. So there you go.
I've got to account for all of it, but I know what time it is too for you all, right?
Yes, indeed. We had to say, look, by far and away, you are now officially the highest ranking person from the university that has joined our show. So we've had the pleasure of talking to coaches, other Hall of Famers, players, former alumni. You are the first athletic director, highest ranking administrator to come join our show. So for that, we are grateful. It just says that, the show, we're making strides, AD Smith. We're making strides. So appreciate you coming on. First, I know while we're still getting some people tuning back in from the little bit of a hiccup, let's first, we're going to talk about it at the beginning and then at the end. Let's talk first about the Fan Day experience that is coming up this Saturday. So let's start there with, I'll give you the pleasure of talking about it, or I can read from the press release on the website. What do you prefer? I'll let you talk Fan Day coming up this Saturday.
Well, the press release speaks for itself, but what I'll say, we're real excited about Fan Day. It's Fan Day for both our football team as well as our SWAC champion volleyball team, right? So we'll be doing a lot of celebrating them being our first SWAC champion winner when we move to the SWAC. So the women are back on the campus and they're getting ready for practice, and they have an exhibition game at 1 o'clock on Friday. So anybody that's in around Tallahassee and at the Lawson Center, also coupled with the President's Ice Cream Social at 12 o'clock around the Lawson Center lawn. You can get a 2-for-1 right there. Get you some ice cream, enjoy the crowd, then walk inside Lawson Center where it's pretty cool at, and watch our lady volleyball team take on West Florida. So you get a 2-for-1 on Friday. So, that's a little bit about what's going on with our volleyball team. Of course, on Saturday, we are excited about, there are actually 2 events, Brian, that's taking place on behalf of the university on Saturday. So we got the Great Harvest Festival, which is a signature of Dr. Robinson and Mrs. Sharon Robinson. That happens at the Viticulture Place out on Mahan. And so we're excited about, that's an all-day function and an affair for families, friends, and all those individuals that are associated with FAMU. And so the university does a wonderful job at putting that event on, and people from all over the city of Tallahassee and the surrounding area come and participate in that particular event. So for those who are in town or those who will be out and about, make sure you take time to come down, go into the vineyard, get your bag, and come out with some mustardines and some other type of grapes they may have there. Make your little joy juice called some sweet wine or whatever you want to afterwards, and keep getting up.
Communion.
So, yeah, that's right. Let's have a communion service for quite a while. How about that? Okay. And so after you get finished with the Great Harvest Festival, you can come and hang out with us at Bragg Stadium. So we will have Fan Day, and it's going to be sponsored by Tallahassee Memorial Hospital, where they'll be doing some of those things that will add to your medical wellness. You'll get a chance to get some checkups and some things associated with that. So we want to thank Tallahassee Memorial Hospital for partnering with us for Fan Day and for the Community Day as it is, because we hope to have a lot of people from the community. And we will ask you to make sure that you practice some of those safety matters around social distancing and doing those things, as we know we do have the pandemic that still exists. We know some of the numbers, according to the experts, are moving north in some capacity. So we're also going to take that same approach for making sure that you enjoy Fan Day, but also do some of that social distancing with our team. So we'll be on the east side of the stadium, and we'll have tables set out all the way across, from going from the southeast to the northeast side of the stadium, where the student athletes will be out, and you'll be able to see them. We're going to ask that you refrain from touching and hugging and all that good stuff, as we're 10 days out from University of North Carolina. So we just want to do all those things. One, they're going to be happy to see you. I know Coach Simmons is going to be happy to see the enthusiasm and the energy with the fans being here. Of course, our students are returning back to school, as school is up and running on August the 22nd, which is Monday, but of course move-in is occurring. And so Tallahassee is going to be abuzz with Rattlers and other folks that'll be around town. So yeah, Fan Day, we're excited about it. Rhea Floyd and her team have done an excellent job at getting us ready, and all the support people, stakeholders around campus are participating to make this as fun and a good time as we possibly can. So, yeah, Brian, you can read from the script now and see what they say. If I missed anything, you can cover it. How about that?
Hey, you did a great job. I'll come back to it at the end a couple more times. My only
Okay.
request is I just want a schedule poster. Somebody. And I'm putting this on Kelvin, Kofi, anybody get a schedule poster. Volleyball, football. I always come up short. Maybe I need to get up there. And so if Lord willing and it works out with my travel plans, I will be there. But if I can't, I need somebody to just look out for me. That's all I ask. Kelvin, I'm putting it on you first. But I figure since I got the AD here, hey, if someone can sit one aside, the volleyball team, autograph, football, whatever. I'm just putting it out there. That's it.
Well, I tell you what, Brian, if as accountable as that guy has held me to being on this station, I'm gonna let him be as accountable about getting you a poster. Right? I can't even begin to tell y'all. If I had not got on this poster, I might have on this show. I probably had to give away my first, second, and third born. So, but I'm happy to be here in all seriousness. Right? So we'll let Calvin get it,
appreciate you.
and we'll be okay.
I got you. All right. So look, before we get into the meat of all, I just want to quickly give you a chance, and because maybe a lot of people don't know your history with FAMU, your previous work at FAMU, and I guess one of the things I was most curious about, obviously you're a graduate of FAMU, you played at FAMU you played with the football program, you've worked for the university for over 20 something years, you've had this role once or twice before. I've read and heard two different things. So I guess I've heard twice before. I've read once before. So I guess my main question would be let's start with uh, how you came into being asked to be the interim AD, maybe the first time, and if you can think back, how is that experience different from what you've been asked to do this time?
So that's a good question, Brian. I think all three times that I've been asked to do this, it's just about being available when asked to do something on behalf of the university. FAMU, the community, both Tallahassee locally, state of Florida, and the FAMU family has been very good to Michael Smith and his family. From the time I arrived on campus as a student and then as a student athlete and, actually raising my family in the community. And so having, worked on campus for 31 years now in various capacities, and having so many individuals pour into my professional development, my local development, and just overall, the opportunity came, and I was asked to serve in this capacity and do the very best that I could. And so I'm happy to do that the first time, the second time, and here the third time. And so it's just about, when you believe in something and you're doing something for the right reasons and for the best reasons that you know how, and you're asked to do and come and serve your alma mater and or some special work that's special to you, then that was an easy one for me. It's not something that I went looking for or campaigned for as much as when I was asked to do it. I came in and I'm doing what I've been asked to do, and that's serving this capacity to the best of my ability and to support Florida A&M and to stand up this athletics department, the student athletes, coaches, the administrators, and all those folks that are excited about what we do here at Florida A&M on behalf of athletics. And so it was real easy for me to do that when both Dr. Emmons called and asked, and when Dr. Robinson called me twice and asked me to do this.
Thank you. Kelvin, go ahead.
So, Mike, I want you to kind of talk about. I know a lot of people are interested in just the game day operations. Just kind of talk about ticket sales, parking. The meat and potato things that people usually want to ask about, and whatever else game experience information that may be different from the past.
Well, okay. Well, Calvin, everybody knows that there's some renovation that's going on at the stadium on the west side. That is a product of the facilities planning and construction team, and led by Vice President Gloria Walker, who's the Vice President for Finance and Administration and CFO, and her team under Chris Hessel's leadership, and Craig Talton and Bodie Young and David, as well as Kendall Jones. That team is responsible for landing in that particular project, and they are moving down the street, and we're excited about what that's going to look like. And so just stay tuned. Every day, there are plenty of contractors and individuals that are responsible for the project that are there bringing it home. And so I think there was a lot of excitement when the press box came rolling in a few weeks ago, and everybody, was there to take a look and take it in and see it come in. So that was really, really exciting for us. I think, Kelvin, having had the experience of working on campus and working through this process, and you and I work together in this process, game day readiness is a labor of love. We have a stadium that, for whatever reason, when it's time for us to roll out first game, it always looks really good, right? And so we're in that posture right now where we're doing the cleanup, the painting, preparing the concession stands, pressure washing, getting the parking lots, in order, striping them so that, all of the individuals who have parking that they paid for through their investment in champion packages, and others that may have paid for parking are all squared away. So, we're doing that. Of course, the gymnastics are working with the contractor getting ready to close out their project. So, we're trying to put things in succinct order. And so it's coming along pretty good. I mean, every day it's a little something that we have to just take a bite of the elephant a little bit at a time, but it's starting to come together. I go over every day to take a look at it and see, where we're at and what we're doing in that space. So we're making progress. And so we're counting the days. We know how we're going to get ourselves moving forward when it's time for the game to get started. And so we're just trying to stay focused in that space right now. And so that's kind of how it's going.
All right. Kofi, go ahead.
Hey there, man. So my brother, my brother is holding me accountable, so I have to open up with this. He told me to tell you that you are still his favorite FAMU Rattler of all time. Mr. Excitement. He wanted you to know that all the way from Winston-Salem, North Carolina. So that opening kickoff that you had against Grambling back in 1982 really blessed him. All right. So really, when it comes to those
Kofi,
game day
I
operations,
had people thinking I was about 35 years old. You just telling all my business, right?
you know how we roll up in here. We keep it real. But you look good, man. You look good. You look good. That dark's the darker the berry, the sweeter the juice, they say. So I guess your juice is real sweet, like Kool-Aid sweet, because you darker than a mug up there. All right. So all right. So let me just talk about you talk about the game day operations, because I know firsthand that that's never easy. Okay. There are questions about the scoreboard. They want to know about the scoreboard, what's going to be happening with the scoreboard. They want to know, obviously, with concessions, because a couple of times, even with an experienced staff, they run out of ice before. Last year we opened up, we only had 2 concession stands through 3 games, and there are a number of vendors that of course we know can fill those particular spots. So speak to the concessions, speak to the scoreboard opportunity, and then also people also want to know about the strike tour and what happened with that. Okay.
All those are good questions, right? So let's go to the scoreboard first. That was the first one you mentioned. So we will have a temporary scoreboard that will be installed in time.
Is it going to be little or is it going to be big?
It's going to be a nice size scoreboard where we will be able to do all those nice things that a regular scoreboard will do. The company will be bringing the scoreboard in, and we're doing the things in the backdrop right now to get it all squared away and put up in time. Again, the facilities planning and construction team has taken the lead in working with the contractor. All those nice video things that we see on scoreboards, we will have that. That's part of the look and feel of course, as part of what we do to generate revenue, we partner with sponsors and all that good stuff. So we've got some fulfillments that we have to make sure we're able to uh, bring home in this process. So that was part of making sure, the type of scoreboard that we had would be able to do that, right? So that our sponsors would know that, we're going to be able to have that type of interaction on the scoreboard. So scoreboard is coming along good at this point. We'll continue to, get it ready. The company will have it in sometime in September, and so it'll be ready for those 5 games that we have here at Bragg Stadium. And so stay tuned for the scoreboard when it gets here. Okay. Of course, at some point in time, we will be pivoting out here really soon and start to work on a permanent solution for the scoreboard. That's befitting of what we do at Florida A&M University. And so at the right time, you all will hear, what the next steps are in that space. As it relates to the concession stands, of course, as part of the game day readiness, we are working with a few vendors as well as some nonprofit organizations that have expressed an interest in manning the concession stands. I've said that our goal will be to have a minimum of 5 concession stands open this year. 3 on the west side, and I think 2 on the east side is what we have. And we do have some individual. We have a company that will be in a couple of those spaces, and then we have some nonprofit organizations that have stepped up and said they would like to be a part of it. And so we're working with them as we speak. We have someone that has experience in that platform to be able to help, keep us moving forward. And so we're going to get those ready as we continue to move forward. So that's the scoreboard, that's concessions. And then I know it's one other thing you asked me.
The strike tour. People want to know what happened to that darn strike tour.
So let me say this. I thought that the strike tour that our former athletic director, Gaucher, and the team started was actually really good. I know we've done it before. I know Angela Suggs, during her tenure when we were there initially, we really, had initially started that strike tour. But I think Courtney and the team, they really pushed it to a different level. And so this year, as you know, there was transition. As you know, there were other matters that we had to make sure that we attend to as we transition. And so the job of the athletic director is, one, to make sure that from an institutional operation and governance and control perspective that we have those things in order, to make sure that those relationships with our internal stakeholders and external stakeholders are in place, as well as the fundraising is another opportunity for the person in this position. And so with the strike tours, it wasn't a matter of us not wanting to do them. There were some things that we had to, through the transition, make sure we had in place, right? So that we can pivot back and work with our alums and our supporters and our donors to let them know that, one, we had a good handle on what we're getting done on behalf of the university in the big picture. And still, we still are open for them to support our needs of the athletics department and of the university. Nothing's changed. I think everybody knows what it takes to a large degree to run the university's athletics department. One of our biggest asks is always in the scholarship area. We spend over $2 million for scholarships. And so, those kinds of things have not changed. And so while we have not been able to get out as frequent as we should or would have liked to at this point, the support is still the same. We're still asking for those alums that love and those donors that have an affection for Florida A&M to still lend their support. We still want to make sure that our student athletes and our coaches, one, that our coaches have scholarships that they can offer students who they are recruiting. 2, that we are able to have the funds for our coaches to go out and recruit the talent. We know the landscape with the portal has changed a lot of you being able to get those student athletes because they're in and out. And so we want to have, money for our coaches to be able to get out and travel and recruit the best and brightest talent that we have that can both perform in the classroom as well as in competition, right? And so, we will get a plan together during the season to continue to reach out to all of our constituents. And so we have our first game at the University of North Carolina. A large contingent of Rattlers will be there. Of course, when we go to Miami, there are functions and activities that are scheduled. And so when folks land in Tallahassee for the Albany State game, we're hoping that they come knowing that the university's athletics department is appreciative of their support. We still need their support, and we're going to be asking them to continue to support the athletics program. So that's where we're at this point.
Appreciate that. AD Smith, our championship volleyball team, we've seen some of the videos of them practicing already over at Gaither. But I know me, but a little disappointed to learn that their games are actually going to be now at Lawson. So I'm wondering if you can talk a little bit about what happened with because we've seen the court being redone, all of the things that were done. What happened with I guess, in preparing Gaither to be ready for them to host games? Assuming that was always the plan, to have volleyball use Gaither as their home gym. Now they'll be at Lawson. Can you talk about what happened in that process there?
Well, let me say this. A lot has to do with having, the funds to complete the projects that you have in your vision. So some of this works in phases, Bryant, right? So, phase one was to get a floor that was befitting of the students to be able to practice and play on, right? And you got to remember that space is both not just for athletics, but it's what we call an E&G space as well. So that's a university teaching and learning facility, right? So when you think about that space, there are other activities that go on in that space. And so when you think about Gaither Gym, as you might have known it and we know it, there's still some things that have to be done as it relates to getting it fully ready for us to be able to have competition. So we still could have a competition, I'm sure, but I'm sure that folks will want to have the same amenities that we have over at the Lawson Center. So when you think about trending back to the Gaither facility, we want it to be a place that's going to be attractive in all ways, right? From concession stands to interactive scoreboards. I mean, all those things, because there's also could potentially be an opportunity where we can potentially have a throwback basketball game over in Gaither for women and men's basketball. For those who've had that experience, I'm sure we could pack that out and let folks remember what it used to be like, right? And so, some of those things have to be in place. It's a collaborative effort across the university community as we continue to look for how we can eventually get to the end of the runway in that space. So it's something that's not off the board, but it's something that, we'll have to go back and continue to work with our partners across campus to see how we get there. But the good thing is we have multiple places for our volleyball team and our basketball team to practice, and that's a good thing.
Yes, sir. Yes, indeed. And I guess we shouldn't poo-poo it because, hey, we won a championship in Lawson. So, I mean, it is what it is, right? So we want to run it back. We run it back in that facility. Kelvin, go ahead.
Mike, can you talk about vacancies? We know that we lost a couple of coaches and we have some vacancies within track and golf and so forth. So just kind of talk about what's the process, and if you know anything, what's the process with the AD thing to search too.
So on the last one you asked me, there are other folks that are managing that process, or you might want to talk to them about that position called the athletic director. I'm here to serve as long as they have me to do it. How about that? Okay. But going back to the other vacancies that you asked me about that I can speak about, Calvin, we did have some transition at some of our head coaches' positions. Our golf coach, I guess he's a Hall of Famer, sought after by a lot of people, and Prairie View did landing. And so Coach Mike Preston has gone on to Prairie View, and so we wish him well. And I don't have to tell you all the great things that he did to elevate our program. to put it in the limelight that it's in, and the student athletes that he's recruited, that we still have, and we're going to continue to nurture them and make sure, that they continue to have the success they have both in competition and in the classroom. They're really self-motivated guys, that group, and so they're going to do well. Of course, they would love to have Coach Rice here with them, but of course, he's moved on to another place. So we will be advertising the position here really soon. And so we'll get a committee together, and that'll be the process. We'll hope to have somebody here, when I say real soon, within the next couple of months. It takes a little time sometimes to make sure you get the right person. But in the meantime, he had an assistant coach by the name of Mia Campbell, who's very close to the program, understands what the program has meant and what it's been doing over the last couple. She knows the guys. She was part of helping him recruit some of the talent that we have coming in. And so we've had an opportunity. We met with all of the student athletes on the golf team and, share with them what's going on. So they're not in the dark. They'll be a part of the process. We'll have somebody from that team participate in the process as we look for a head golf coach for our men's golf team. For our women's softball team, as you know, Coach Orr did resign as well, and we wished her well. She's moving on to some other things in her life, but we were very fortunate that Camise Patterson, who was an assistant coach, she has come in and she is now the interim softball coach, and we're really excited about that. She has a lot of support in the community. As you know, we have the Rattler, Coach Wiggins, that is here in this community. So she has her arms around Coach Patterson and the team, as well as Lori Goodard, who works on the athletic staff, but has spent 9 years as a coach here in Tallahassee on the team. And so the same process for them. We met with the student athletes in a Zoom, had a lot of interaction, explained to them the process, what's going on. And so everybody's on board and in support of of those two ladies that are taking on those programs as we stand right now. As it relates to the men and women's track and field program, we did advertise a director of track and field. So we have that position. It did close on, I think, Sunday, the 14th. And we are now getting the committee together, and they're going to get started with reviewing applications. We have cross-country season that kicks off here in a few days. Those student athletes for the women will be back, and we will be ready to get them started. Their first competition will be on September the 9th in North Florida, and so they'll be ready to compete when their season starts. Assistant coach Rufus Peoples, is right now the person that's manning and has leadership of that program, and we're going to be putting some arms around him to make sure that he is in a good spot as we move forward in those positions. So that's kind of where we're at, ladies and gentlemen. And so again, everybody, made decisions to move forward, and, we're happy for them in terms of where they're going and what they're doing. And so we know we got to continue on. We're a very proud group of individuals. I know on this Zoom, on Facebook, and everybody else that's listening in when it comes to FAMU. And so we're going to make sure these processes are put in place, not just to pick a coach or somebody, but someone who really understands our culture, who appreciates, the traditions of our university and our athletics programs, and somebody that wants, want to be here and make sure that our student athletes have a great experience, right? And that they also have good experience as coaches when they get here.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, Kofi, before I throw it to you, can I ask you, Mike, A.D. Smith, will you or a committee, will you be the person making the hiring decision, meaning making the selection of those positions? Or is that one of those things where we're waiting for the next thing, the next
AD.
person? How AD? Well, I said person.
So,
Yes.
Brian, I'll answer it this way. Today, Michael Smith is the athletic director interim for the university's athletics program. So as these positions come open, we finish the process. As long as Michael Smith is here, then we're going to continue to move forward. And if that means that, and while I'm in the seat, that decision is mine to make, and in terms of making that recommendation to the president, because at the end of the day, the president is our hiring authority. I'll be making that recommendation. If someone else is here, by the time it's time to get through that process, and they'll be their responsibility. But what we won't do is sit and wait for to start the process. Our students, our programs, our community, our alums, and all of our supporters deserve to know that we are moving forward, and we have processes that are in place to make sure that one, we advertise, two, we recruit, and three, we put together committees that know how to vet the criteria that are put in place for us to determine how we bring in the next head coaches and directors of track and field for these sports that we have. And so that's what I'm going to say on that. Okay.
Thank you for that, Kofi.
All right, so I have to say this. Obviously, we've one of the things that almost has become a curse word in the FAMU community is the word committee. A lot of people just feel unsafe that it's going through so many heads, so many different ideas. When are we going to get to the point where, someone like yourself, who has expertise in athletics, has a history in athletics, to be able to make a decision? I guess the question is, why do we have so many committees when it comes to the choices that are made on the Highest of Seven Hills?
First of all, the university has processes in place and procedures and protocol, Kofi, that we have, right? And so when you think about the university's human resources area and how we're structured organizationally, that's part of, what we do across campus, right? And there are some opportunities or some circumstances that allow us to go in and determine if there is a situation where we have to request maybe a waiver of advertisement in some cases in order for us to be able to, hire someone for different causes, right? And so, there's a process, but in most cases, you want to make sure the committees are there for you to make sure that there are checks and balances, there's vetting, there are other folks that have interests that is similar, and there's a balance. So when you think about, bringing in, people to be a part of your organization, especially in the athletic world, you have to make sure you have good balance of committee members in cases. How large they are, and they can be, that's a function of, a division or area. And so, I can't necessarily speak to that, but, that's, for each individual area in terms of how they, want to, staff their committee. But in our case, I think that, our our situation, particularly with these three positions, I think it's a really good thing. We've got a lot of interest in the program. We got a lot of good talent out there that would like to come and work at FAMU. And so, reviewing and vetting that talent and coming to a consensus. And then, the athletic director at the end of the day still, can go in and make that recommendation that he or she desires for the program. But I think when you have buy-in and support from folks that you're going to ask then turn around and help to support and work alongside these individuals that you bring in, sometimes it's good that, you have, them there, right? But that doesn't say that we can't, at some point in time when it makes sense for us to, exercise another methodology that we have in our toolbox. But more importantly, the university has, some guidelines that are established for this. And so it's important that we follow those as much as we need to.
Gotcha. So really, we had a difficult time with the APR stuff, really with football. I know in times past we had talked that I know that Coach Simmons has spoke to the fact that there is a plan. With the current infractions, do we have, how much has changed, okay, in regards to that? And what do we have to look forward to in regards to 2023? Are we going to be handed some additional penalties, or are we going to be above board with that?
So, nothing's come out about 2023 at this point. Our number one focus is, this football season this year, um, making sure that we are taking notice of the fact that our APR score, it's documented, it's public, everybody knows what it is. And so I think on the bigger side for us, Kofi, as an administration, is putting um, things in place that will enhance and increase the opportunity for our student athletes to have continued success in the classroom, right? Making sure we understand, looking at the data, determining, what may have been some of those pain points that cause those scores or to be what they are, and start making corrective actions and working across, all the different areas across campus that can support that. So that comes from academic advisement, that comes from, tutoring, that comes from looking at, the student athletes' health and wellness, in terms of their ability to be able to make sure they're in the right classes, that they are, getting to class, that they're studying, and there's some follow up and follow through. So yeah, we have to be very intentional in that space, so that we can make sure that there's progress moving north with our APR scores. But more importantly than the APR score, why it is a number that tells you about how well we're doing individually, it's just important for those young men and young ladies to know that we care about them, right? And so them as individuals, they make up a score, but them as individuals, they are who they are. And so it's going to be important for us to make sure we know, hey, Kofi, hey, Brian, hey, Calvin, and everybody else that's on this call, that may be on Facebook. I think part of what made us was that we had folks on campus that cared about us, right? And they pulled us to the side, helped us out. All of them wasn't straight A students like the three of you guys. Some of us had to get a little more help, right? So so we got to do that, right? And I'm not skirting around it. I'm just telling you the cold hard facts and being very transparent with you. We got to, make that evaluation, look at what it is that we need, and then make sure the support is there, right? And then, have that candid talk with the young men and young ladies that we want to win, but there are components of winning that we can't compromise, and we don't want to compromise your education, you know, for us to be a champion, because that's not the type of champion that we want at the end of the season and at the end of their athletic career when they finish. We want these students to walk across the stage like the other 50 plus students that graduated over the fall, spring, and summer semester in athletics with a degree. We want them to not only have a degree, but we want them to have an opportunity to go out and get gainfully employed, and be alums and be supporters. And hopefully their experience at Florida A&M um, will be an experience that will allow them to want to give back and tell a story about how fun and how great, FAMU was to them. And so if that sounds boring and not exciting to you, Kofi, it is the truth about what we need to be doing. And if we're not doing that, then we're wasting our time, their time, and we're not good keepers of the resources and the stewardship that the alums and everybody expect of us. And so, those are the cold hard facts about what we need to be doing in that space.
But I appreciate it. And, because people want to know, obviously with that, we have, how Rattler Nation is, they just want to know. So in terms of our game day process, this will be my last question. Will there be shuttles to help people to get to and from their parking spaces?
So we are working on shuttles definitely for our ADA lots, for sure. I know we have had that conversation at our game day operations meeting. So I can guarantee you that for those individuals that have those have needs, not call them special, but have needs, we definitely want to make sure that we are accommodating to the extent that we will have multiple shuttles around campus, driving back and forth through. We have not reached that mark as of yet. But definitely, we do know there's a need for us to be able to provide some type of support for our patrons that come in. We have parking for them, at some of the lots where there are ADA requirements there. So that's kind of where we're at in that space.
Good. So the ticket sales looking good for Miami?
We have a meeting tomorrow. We meet every Thursday. I'll get an update from the Orange Blossom Classic Committee to make sure that, hopefully things are going well. We get a comparison of where we're at now and where we're landing. So I haven't heard anything to say that they're not. But our box office team has been working real closely with them, and so I'll get that update tomorrow, and I'll be able to tell you. I know you'll text or call me like you do anyway, so we're good.
Let's go.
Hey,
and said
AD
return,
Smith.
and we'll take it from there.
You've been great. You've been gracious with your time this evening. I'm sure there's a lot more questions that myself, Rattler Nation, would love. So you have an open invite. We'd love for you to come back, and we'd love to be able. Maybe we do a fan forum where maybe we allow people to send in questions. I mean, we asked a few based on some questions that people have asked in the chat rooms or elsewhere. But maybe, like I said, who knows if you're still in this chair, in this position 2-3 months from now, even a month from now, we'd love to even have you come back and maybe do that fan forum thing where we give people an opportunity to kind of put in questions and then kind of go from there. So if you're open to that, we'll set that up maybe for a month or 2 months down the road. But I wanted to give you the last word to speak to Rattler Nation before we close out this segment with you.
Well, first of all, thank you guys, and I'll be more than happy to come back whenever the opportunity permits itself. Calvin, thank you for your persistence with this, and it's been really cool. And so to all the fans out there, just know that we are really working hard to get ourselves ready for this upcoming athletic competition season for all of our sports. And so we know football, volleyball, and cross country kicks everything off, and we know that everybody loves our football program. Coach Simmons and his staff and the student athletes have been working really hard, and they are excited about the opportunity for us to, go to University of North Carolina for HBCU celebration weekend and show those Tar Heels what the Rattlers are all about. So if you're in that neck of the woods, please come out, get ready for Miami. And of course, on September the 10th, those folks from Albany are going to be taking a vacation in Tallahassee, and we're going to send them back broke down. How about that? That's the plan. So, Ryan, thank y'all so very much. We'll see y'all next time. Strike, Rattlers, strike, and strike again. Y'all take care. Okay.
Well said, AD Smith. Well said.
Appreciate you, man.
All right.
Thank you.
Let's go to a break. Come back on the other side with our next guest. Again, ladies and gentlemen, AD Michael Smith. He's a Rattler. He loves FAMU. Let's make that known. Loves FAMU, is FAMU, and we are thankful to have you in this role, AD Smith. And so I just want to personally, on behalf of all of us, say thank you. And let's just keep striking hard, all right?
All right. Thanks, guys.
Let's go. Thank you. Let's head to a break. You're watching the ONG Strike Zone.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com.
It's like a loot machine. All around town, people trying to get down.
Follow the Black College Sports Network on social media at MyBCSN1, the number 1, on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at MyBCSN1.
Time to call a credit repair company to fix my credit. Hold the phone, man. You can do it yourself with Credit Versio. That's way too hard. Call the credit repair company. Most credit repair companies only work on 1 or 2 accounts at a time, making it slow and expensive. You won't figure that out for months. Ignore him. Credit Versio's brilliant software scans all 3 credit bureaus, finds the accounts that are hurting your score, and guides you through the entire process. Anyone can do it. Let's fast forward and see the results. Wow, I fixed my own credit and saved hundreds. You can do this. Visit creditversio.com.
Can I get the now bar, please?
$1.
Have a good one.
Got it.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey.
Let me get a now bar.
Sure.
$1.
Appreciate you.
Got it.
This is Ryan Fulford. AD Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN Sports Wrap. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN Sports Wrap, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
It's like a loop machine. All around town, people trying to get down.
Don't worry, Ma. We'll be there soon.
We? Is this the one?
Well, let's say I found the one who takes me to another level. Always stays calm under pressure. Most importantly, the one that helps me discover the coolest places.
This sounds wonderful.
Come outside, I'll introduce you.
They're here.
Definitely the one.
Introducing the all-new Nissan Frontier.
Some carriers will give you just one measly entertainment subscription. One is no fun. With Verizon, there's up to 7 entertainment subscriptions with your unlimited plan. That's 7 times the... 7 times the... No. 7 times the... Music, gaming, Disney Plus, Hulu, ESPN Plus, and more. That's 7 times the entertainment.
Because everyone deserves better. And with plans starting at just $35, better costs less than you think.
This is the BCSN Pod Zone, your place for the news, views, and conversations about all things related to HBCU athletics. Here are the BCSN Sports Wrap, Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab, Knights of the Round Table, the pregame show, the Carlos Brown Show, the ONG Strike Zone, and more in one place. We are changing the way you consume HBCU sports, one broadcast at a time.
Your ad could be ran here. MyJBN.com/support. MyJBN.com/support for more information.
Okay, welcome back to the ONG Strike Zone. Brian, Kelvin, Kofi, and we move from one honored guest to another honored guest. Joining us right now from NCAA.com is Stan Becton, the man who, through his power rankings, he saw what so many people failed to see after the end of the 2021
Visionary.
season.
The man is visionary.
Is that the number one team in HBCU football was the FAMU Rattlers. So he always has a home right here on the ONG Strike Zone because all he does is see truth. Stay here. How you doing, my man?
I'm doing good, Glad to be back.
Well, look, you earned your way back in as we get ready to roll into the 2022 year. Lots to talk about, especially in the HBCU market with the influx of new coaches. Always, it seems like all eyes will always be on the SWAC. So let's start with how you see the changes in the in the SWAC, before we get into talking about FAMU and its place, but just in general about the new coaches in the SWAC and how that will affect the outcome of who will win that conference or even just make it to the SWAC championship game?
Yeah, when it comes to the new coaches, I think you got to start at Southern. Eric Dooley, he's going from the SWAC West champions to Southern, also in the SWAC West. So that's the biggest and most notable move. But then you got to also consider Prairie View, the SWAC West champions. They got a new coach, of course, replacing the old one. And that's a move that I think is going kind of under the radar right now, just because it's not a big name like Eric Dooley at Southern or even a Hugh Jackson at Grambling. But it's a lot going on, especially in the SWAC when it comes to new coaches. And I think that Eric Dooley storyline is probably the biggest one, just based off of, one, Southern is predicted to win the SWAC West from SWAC media days, and then two, the amount of transfers that he brought with him to Southern. So I think that's something that you have to kind of watch out for in that SWAC West. On the East, it's not too bad compared to the West.
And speaking of transfers, when you see the amount of transfers that have come out of the portal into SWAC programs like Alabama A&M, Southern, Grambling, even Jackson State, how does that compare with other FCS programs? You look at those teams that are at the top of most of the national polls, but how would you compare in terms of maybe not numbers, but more so talent and impact of the talent?
Yeah, I mean, just looking at the numbers. So I actually had an article come out today, and I looked at the numbers, and 5 of the top 10 programs in the FCS when it came to adding transfers were HBCU programs. Just that was going into spring ball. Of course, those numbers have probably changed a little bit now since April has passed, and that's when I had calculated those numbers. But that's back in April, before around spring ball time. That's a lot of transfers. I mean, Alabama A&M, it's like almost half their scholarships, it seemed like, was going to transfer. So it's been very active, but I think that's a good thing, because for you to get transfers, that means people are looking at it. And of course, when you're getting that many transfers, there's probably some selectivity going on when you're acquiring those transfers. And I just think that it's a good thing overall, because you're adding more transfers. So the more transfers you add, the more competition you're going to get and the more talent you're going to get. So of course you want to add those freshmen, kind of, home grow those players. But I think if you can add those transfers, kind of get that instant impact that you're seeing, not just at the SWAC level, but you're seeing that at the Power 5 level too. So I think that's the way the game is going now.
Kelvin, go ahead.
So Stan, last year the HBCU coverage and the platform on the NCAA.com was, kind of new and so forth. What are some things that you hoping to do this year that you plan on? What kind of added value things? What can we look for in terms of coverage and so forth for this upcoming season?
Well, definitely going to have that kind of main landing spot on NCAA.com for HBCU games. So that way every week everyone can go and look and see the full scoreboard, a full list of the games, and try to update that on Saturdays with the scores and whatnot. So that way, if you need a spot, you just want to follow the games, you can go there and follow the games. Going to try to keep that pretty updated. Another thing is kind of taking those power rankings, which used to kind of be on that same page, that would kind of be an all-encompassing page, and kind of bringing those more in a standalone article, so that way it can be easier for people to follow week to week, easier to give those a little bit of publicity, those power rankings. So maybe it doesn't come as a shock at the end of the season if a certain team is ranked number 1, and then it's like, how did they end up being number 1? But you got to look back and see that it was going on the whole year. So that way it's a little bit easier to follow. And then just trying to get that boost of HBCU coverage out beyond the website onto social media, whether that's the FCS Instagram page, FCS Twitter, page, trying to get that out a little bit more and trying to expand there. That's some of my personal goals and some of the team's goals a little bit for this fall.
Okay.
Kofi.
Hubba, so tell me, obviously there was big news in the SWAC in the last couple of days with Zimmer going to Jackson State. How do you think that's going to affect their year and on-field performance?
Well, I think overall with Jackson State, it really just comes down to, at the end of the day, it just, for them, it really just comes down to, can their skill positions kind of take the pressure off of the trenches for them? Because, I mean, no matter what moves they make, I think that was the storyline after the Celebration Bowl, and I think it's going to be the storyline throughout the beginning of the season, especially when they open up with you guys. You guys got the reigning Buck Buchanan Award winner. We know what he brings off the edge. So I think at the end of the day, regardless of who they bring in at what, that storyline is still going to be the same, because it's really just going to come down to, can those skill positions and all that talent they have there, because we know they have the talent at those skill positions, but it really just, how much can that take the pressure off the offensive line? Because offensive line and defensive line, because we saw their trenches, they got kind of dominated in that Celebration Bowl. So I just think that it doesn't matter who they bring in here, where, but I think it's just, can those skills outweigh the trenches?
Thank you.
So Stan, again, NCAA.com is where you can find all his work. Excuse me. Let's take a look at the preseason football power rankings. Now, you smartly divided this up into, there is a top three. There's almost like a tier. There's tier one, made up of 3 teams, and then there's the rest of HBCU football. Obviously, in that top tier, you've got Jackson State, Florida A&M, and South Carolina State. It's preseason, so I'm not going to hold it against you that Jackson State is 1, FAMU is 2, South Carolina State is 3. But I want to give you an opportunity to sort of break that down. What was it that puts Jackson State at 1 ahead of FAMU? And then maybe even talk about who I think a lot of people are curious about, is the South Carolina State factor as well. How do they play in this mix?
Yeah, so to start off, the top 3, like I said, they're all pretty close and separate from the rest. I mean, the top 10 is kind of separate from like the rest of the 21, but the top 3, they're a tier above. I tried to make it tiers. I was going to make it 4 tiers, but I was trying to think about 4, 5, 6, and they're really close to 7. So I'm gonna keep them all together. That was a little simpler on my behalf. So, but that top 3, Jackson State number 1. They're number 1 because they have the best returning quarterback in HBCU football. So that's easy for them to be number 1, because when it's that close, the quarterback can make a difference. We saw last year in that first game with you guys that it was like a quarterback that kind of made a difference, even though neither quarterback really played well, but that was kind of one of the big differences in that game. So with them having, the returning Jerry Rice Award winner, Shedeur Sanders, coming back, that kind of gives them that slight little edge, because I think both defenses will be pretty good once again. Both defenses were in the top 10 almost all of last year in scoring defense. So I think that'll probably be the case again. But with them having that quarterback situation a little bit more rock solid heading into week 1 and the start of the season, I think they get that top spot. And then, of course, FAMU number 2, they got that number 2 spot because, like I said, their defense, I think they have 2 stars at least, and they have the potential for more to emerge. I mean, Isaiah Land, that's a star right there. We know that. But BJ Bowler, I think he's the best corner coming back in HBCU football. I ranked all the top players, and I said he's the best corner coming back. I challenged him. I said, don't allow more than 300 yards this year. And I think he can do it. But I think you got 2 stars there like that. You bring in, the Iowa State transfer at safety. Y'all ask y'all safeties to do a lot, so he'll probably be asked to do a lot. Whoever else fills in that safety position will be asked to do a lot. But I think the way you guys scheme that defense, I saw a little bit last year that by having those DBs asked to do a lot, and you guys have a lot of people who they might not have been the big names like the Marquise Bell, but they still got a chance to get on the field, so they have a little bit of experience and whatnot. So I think that defense is really what carries y'all to number 2, and y'all have weapons at the wideout position too, and a lot of depth at running back. Y'all got some talent at FAMU, but then South Carolina State, they did lose the most games out of any team in that top 3 last year. They did win the Celebration Bowl, but they lost the most games in the regular season. So if this is going to be a combination of what happened last year and the projection forward, until I see them win those games in the regular season, I can't project them to win all those games, in the regular season this year. Even Southern, a lot of people predicted them. They had them top 3. I saw some other rankings, top 3, top 4. I had them at 7 because they were 4-7 last year. I can't move them all the way up till I see you get on the field and produce. You got to kind of do that. And South Carolina State, they did produce. And I have them at 3 because they have the most consistent over like the last 20 years, however many years you want to go back with Buddy Q. So you can't knock him too far down the rankings. And they're in the MEAC, and I think we all know the SWAC is the more dominant conference as far as depth goes compared to the MEAC. Even though, having won Celebration Bowl too many times, they lost the MEAC SWAC Challenge last year. But I know you guys know a little bit about that. You guys, it's only 1 year into the switch for y'all. Y'all know a little bit about the difference in the conferences. Y'all getting used to it now. But, I mean, I had to keep them at 3. They got a returning quarterback, too, Corey Fields. And they got a returning receiver who could end up being the best receiver in HBCU football at the end of the year after what he did in the Celebration Bowl. So they got talent, too. But I just think when South Carolina State, they lost a lot of those games in that regular season, I got to see them. I got to see them prove it a little bit more to move them up the ranks. Now, if they come out and they start beating some people they lost to last year, they're gonna start moving up. So that'll be the main thing for them.
Yeah, you can say it. They got smoked by FAMU earlier in the year. It's all good. Yeah, and then they turned around and smoked Jackson State. So it's all good. We know how the cycle works. Go ahead, Kelvin.
Yeah, they also lost to Alabama A&M of the SWAC in the regular season and beat BCU by a touchdown. They have a tough, and they have another tough schedule coming up. But Stan. So can you talk about? I know a big topic over the off season, and something that I'm interested in is how does FCS HBCUs start to be more competitive with the rest of the top tier of the FCS programs. And I know part of that is playing them more often in a regular season. And I think Jackson State plays Campbell. And there's a lot of Alcorn State and I believe Prairie View all play in Mississippi Valley, if I'm not mistaken, play a couple of the Texas and Louisiana FCS. So just kind of talk about what you think the difference is and how does HBCU more consistently get W's and get more respects in the power ranking by playing the PWC FCS schools.
Yeah, so you definitely have to go out and play them. I think that's a big thing that you're going to see this year. A&T, they're making that trip up to North Dakota State. I believe they're going up there. I don't think it's the other way around, but they're playing them. Tennessee State, they're making that trip out to Eastern Washington. So those are two perennial, not HBCU, but perennial, like FCS, top FCS, powerhouses and whatnot. So, 9 out of 11 titles. So with that, of course, you want some wins in those games. I think I saw something put out today showing the records of last year or something like that. Like I think the SWAC was like in that kind of 8 or 9 tier when it comes to out of conference FCS wins, and I think the MEAC was, I think they were like 13th or something like that, or 14th, somewhere down there. But it really just comes down to playing. You play them more, you're going to win more. And you guys are getting those transfers and the recruiting from freshman wise, that's improving as well. So the talent pool is improving. And now with more attention, those other FCS schools, I foresee them wanting to schedule them because that's more attention for them, which means more money coming in. Because everyone knows HBCUs travel well to all the games. I want to see how North Carolina A&T fans travel to North Dakota. I don't know about that. That might be a little bit difficult. I've never been to North Dakota. I'm not knocking North Dakota, but I know it's not too many people like us who have that on their bucket list of places to go. So, but if they come out and travel well to North Dakota, that's going to be a good sign to these other FCS programs out there who aren't in these HBCU conferences that, okay, yeah, we schedule them. We're going to get a lot of their fans come. That's ticket sales. So that's one thing. But then the other thing, of course, is that if teams do get the chance to make that FCS playoffs, which I think it's a good chance we probably get another HBCU to make the FCS playoffs, whether that's whoever finishes second in the SWAC or that's an A&T or Tennessee State making it by winning their conference. I think you can see either one of those, but winning some of those playoff games can help as well. Of course, it does depend on matchups. You guys had a really bad matchup for you guys last year. That was kind of I didn't expect you guys to win that just based off of the matchup wise. You know, it's all about matchups, but it really just, you got to play those games in the regular season and then compete in those games. You don't have to win, but if you show that, okay, yeah, we might not play you guys on the same scale, but we are still playing you guys and competing in those games, they're going to want to schedule you more because it's like, okay, that's a competitive out-of-conference game, and it looks good to the fans. And then when you get in those playoffs, you got to kind of try to get at least one of those wins sometime soon. I say in the next 3 years, you definitely got to get an HBCU with an FCS playoff win, just to help boost scheduling wise.
Yeah.
Hopefully it doesn't take long. Hopefully it doesn't take 3 years. But man, yeah, I agree with you on that. Kofi, what do you got?
So what games will be attending this year, sir?
So I'm starting off. I'm going to be at the MEX SWAC Challenge, of course. I'm going to be at that game to start off the season. Excited for that. I want to get to see the unveiling of the Jordan brand. And then I definitely, it may not be a FCS HBCU, but I'm definitely going to try to head out to one of the Morehouse games this year just to kind of, broaden my horizons into that D2 HBCU football landscape. And then beyond that, I'm going to try to get to one of the Carolina games because currently I'm based in Atlanta, so trying to make one of those trips and then potentially one of the Mississippi games, just trying to see based off scheduling which one is better. Because, of course, I do work primarily FCS, but I also help out with other stuff when we have to work on FBS things as well. So that's the only problem when it comes to scheduling. But definitely going to be at the MEX SWAC Challenge, definitely going to be at the Celebration Bowl. Got to book in the season that way with those games. And from there, I'm going to try to make those drivable games a little bit throughout the season.
Thank you.
Hey, it's only 4 hours to Tallahassee, Stan. So when you coming to Tallahassee, which game? If you haven't been to homecoming, you got to circle the homecoming. That's an easy win we got. Let me take it back. No game is easy, but we play UAPB. So, no one comes to FAMU on homecoming to have success. Just ask Grambling. So, which one you coming to?
Well, UAPB, they did win the SWAC West back in that spring season. If you want to, look at that spring season. I know people say like for basketball that Disney bubble doesn't count. I don't know how you guys feel about that spring SWAC season, but I think they won that. They did win. They still got their quarterback from that team as well, so you can't count them out all the way.
Yes, no, we don't count anybody out, so we'll take them as serious as everybody else. Yes, but no. Hey, let me ask before we let you out of here. We appreciate your time this evening. Definitely, you got a new article out about the top stories. I just pulled it up. The 7 storylines to watch in the HBCU football season. You can go to ncaa.com and read that. I'm gonna, before I've got to make a sort of a point of clarification here for you, Stan, because I know in the article you point out that only 7 schools have returning quarterbacks. Well, actually, it's 8 because FAMU has a returning quarterback. Rashawn McKay will be QB1. He was the starter last year. I know a lot of people think there's going to be some quarterback controversy. There's not. There's not. It's going to be Rashawn McKay. So you can let people know when they ask. You say, yeah, there's technically 8 that have returners. But my question more so is going to be, what's something that maybe a little more depth inside of your storylines, or maybe something outside a bold prediction, just something that we should pay attention to this season. Those of us who kind of watch not only FAMU, but watch the entire HBCU FCS landscape.
Yeah, if I had to say something that may not be on the storylines that I think you should watch, is I think you should watch the individual one-on-one matchups a little bit more this year. A lot of these guys, there's especially, I used to play DB myself, so I like those one-on-ones on the outside, wide receiver and DB. I like watching those matchups, so I'm excited for FAMU Jackson State. I think that's going to be great on the outside for them. But I think just watching those matchups, just to bring it back to FAMU, whether that's you get an Isaiah Land versus a Mark Evans, you get one of those matchups. That's 2 people probably going to be playing pro next year. That's a great matchup you get to watch. Whether you get to watch in Xavier Smith versus Nugget Warren, or you get to watch all the receivers versus the Jackson State DBs, that should be great just watching that one-on-ones. Or even if you get to watch you guys against the or BJ Bowler versus Ibrahim from Alabama A&M, that should be another great matchup. I'm not sure how much Bowler will travel, but I think those one-on-one matchups something you can watch, and then it can also, that name recognition is something easy for fans to follow. As you start following these individual players, of course, football players, you wear helmets. You don't get to have that kind of close personal interaction. You got a helmet, you got a big sideline in between. That's why people tell me, oh, I like watching basketball more than football. No, you don't. You like being closer to the action. You like seeing the faces. You don't like watching it more than football. So, but as you can follow those one-on-one matchups, you're going to fall in love with this HBCU football season, because you'll have that anticipation for every game, the anticipation for every matchup, because it's a lot of great matchups you're going to have this season, whether it's early or late. I think throughout the season, you're going to have great matchups. Even when you guys play Bethune later in the season. I know you guys finally got your lick back last season, and you're going to have Omari Hill Robinson. He's going to be covering y'all receivers, and I think that's going to be another great matchup. And then y'all going to have somebody covering Kamari Average. So how that works, that's going to be great matchups on both sides, and I think
ain't nobody cover that boy.
Matchup.
Nobody cover Kamari.
Hey, if you watch those one-on-one matchups, man, I think that's something that you can follow the whole season every week. Just like, okay, this is who you need to watch in this game. This is who you need to watch in this game. And I'm gonna be trying to, bring some of that to, when you go look on the schedule, scroll down a little bit, you probably will see a little bit of that, whether that's like a game of the week or here's a matchup you need to watch, trying to bring some of that there so it's kind of easy for you to find. But just bringing that and following that, I think is going to be great throughout the season.
Well done. Yes, sir. Stan, let people know where they can find you on social media.
So on social media, Twitter, Stan_Becton, Instagram, TikTok. I think that's all. Only other ones I have is Stan Becton, no underscore. So same way you see it spelled on the screen, you can only just type that in and both are going to pop up, whether without the underscore or with the underscore. Yeah, that's where you can find me on social media. And feel free to DM me if you want to. I know you guys, after the power rankings, I got a lot of ats, but you can DM me too. I probably won't see it right away, but I'll try to respond to people here and there, depending on how the approach is. If you come at me crazy, I'm gonna just leave you. You're not gonna know if I seen it or not. But depending on the approach, I'll answer the questions.
I bet you did that to a lot of Jackson State people last year. So they love you now. They love you now, but they finicky. Them cats are finicky. So I'm just gonna let you know they love you now, but they'll turn on you in a minute. But that's what cats do. So anyway, Stan, we appreciate you coming on the show. Please feel free to tag us anytime you drop an article, whether it's on the ONG or the Black College Sports Network. We'll make sure to retweet, let people know about it. Great stuff right now, ncaa.com. Great articles, great coverage. Thank you, Stan, for all your coverage. Thank the people at your team. You got a team, so put everybody to work, and we appreciate all the coverage. All right.
Yeah, thank you, and I love the show. Y'all had me on here following two heavy hitters both times. Willie Simmons one time, athletic director this time. I love the way you guys, ask those questions. Especially you, Kofi. You ask those questions. The questions that people might not want to ask. You ask those questions. I love the way you do that to a lot of these big names, and you really kind of, bring those people who may seem like they're a little distant.
That's a heavy hitter. That's the heavy hitter.
That's his role. That's why we got him here.
Yeah, so I love what you guys are doing too.
Appreciate you, man. Thank you.
Appreciate you, Stan. All right, thank you. All right, Stan Becton, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to producer Drew. We're going to stay here. We're not going to go to a break, so we're going to go to just us three, so that way we don't hold Stan up. I know we've kept him up late tonight, so I know he may have things to do. So that's, again, make sure you're following Stan. A big show tonight, heavy show, guys. With AD Smith, Stan Becton. Let's go instant reaction thoughts. Kelvin, thoughts from the interview with Michael Smith.
Well,
AD.
Yeah, I've known Mike a long time, and we rag each other. I've been trying to make this happen for a couple of months now, and finally I had to be Kofi like on it to get him to go ahead and commit. So anyway, Mike is a nice guy. He's pretty transparent. He's gonna say the right things. He's gonna do what he can, and so forth. So I think that came across. At the end of the day, we still gonna need some permanent leadership and to go to the next level. And that's above him. That's not his decision. So we'll see. Hopefully, my understanding we're supposed to have 11 names maybe next week. And go down to 4 or 5 as a recommendation
11.
within the nets. Yep, that's what I'm hearing. It's technically 12. It was supposed to be 11, but I think it's down to 12 names, and there's next week they're supposed to try to get it down to a final 4. So we'll see.
Can I say what I?
You can say what you want. This is our show.
Go on and say, it's the ONG. Hurry up. Say what you got to say.
The fact that we are still deciding on this after 4 months, and there are schools in our conference that lost an AD after us and will have one before us is amazing. That's all I'll say.
Are you surprised?
Kofi. No.
Are you surprised? Given who our president is, are you surprised?
No. Disappointed.
Thank you.
Not surprised.
All right.
Yeah.
You're not surprised.
No,
it is
no.
It is what it is. It is what it is. And I think, again, this is my thing, just we have a board of trustees that is charged with running the university. And these people gave an evaluation without one mention of athletics. Without one mention of any of the deficiencies that are really going on. Without one mention of the fact that our enrollment has decreased. Without one mention of the fact that we have sat up here with fundraising, and they lauded him for fundraising, which he had nothing to do with. You know, these are the people that we have in the seats that are running the university and making decisions. And it's not going to change until, again, people like you, people like me, enough of us wake up and say, hey, we got to do something else about this. Because, again, we are in an election year. The only way we can halfway make some traction regarding that board of trustees seat is to get the right person in the governor's seat. That's one of the ways. The other way is we've got to really step up our game when it comes to asking these questions and demanding accountability from our leadership. As long as we are silent, we are saying that we're in agreement with the foolishness that goes on the highest of 7 hills. And it's clear that we're not, but, you know, we got to speak up. If you don't speak up, we're saying that we comply.
Let me ask this, Kofi, did you, from your letters that you sent to the board, did you get any replies?
No, them ninjas ain't finna,
reply. I mean, even if it were just a, hey, thank you, you know, I got at least 2.
No,
of the 9 or 10 that I sent, at least I got 2 back.
Them ninjas ain't finna reply. I said what I said. They ain't finna reply. Now, let me say this. Look, you know, it's not going to, you literally have to, you know how your mama say, you know, I'm going to go down to that school. I'm going down to that school. I'm going to talk to them teachers. You know, you be all right, yeah. You know, you be all acting like this and bowing up and stuff till she show up there. You know what I'm saying? We have to be prepared. You get 100 of us in there at the board of trustees meeting talking about the same thing, they're going to have to address it or they're going to have to shut the meeting down. You know, it's something like that. Something dramatic like that has to happen to get their attention. Again, to just totally gloss over. It's like Larry Robinson is a Jedi mind trick. He done released the force over him talking about.
I am too. Yeah.
Yeah, he's trolling us, man.
Tell them that I'm great.
Yeah, look, they understand.
Tell
look,
them that
I
I'm
agree
great.
with.
Tell them that I made a 4 and 8.
Until we find a way. Look, what we the one time we tried to do something, they canceled the meeting. The second time was during the alumni, national alumni, and then that got kibosh. Whatever was supposed to happen didn't happen because it wasn't the right time or whatever. I'm telling you, we have an Ivy League president. I've said it many a times. What I mean by an Ivy League president, doesn't care about athletics. We raise $50 million, $90 million, $100 million is going towards academic ventures and scholarships, and great. He'll cook some fish and hand out some barbecue chips on the picnic lawn, and he'll smile, walk around. He'll eat in the cafeteria on Fried Chicken Wednesdays. That's great. But he won't go cut the grass on the baseball field, not with Coach Shoop, what he should be doing. So that kind of stuff won't happen. He won't put the money so that Coach Shoop ain't got to go cut the damn lawn.
Hello.
You know, so that won't happen either.
Let's start here. How about answer the darn email? Answer the email to your golf coach. Answer the email to the person that has served the university, not just served the university. Served the university well.
What can I say?
You can't say anything. This is an alum and a coach.
Man, you got an Ivy League president. I'm trying to tell you. Understand it.
No,
Ivy
we
League
got
president
a non-confrontation. He's not Ivy League. He's a non-confrontational president who doesn't like to deal with his deficiencies. He doesn't want to deal with the dysfunction, and he doesn't have to because we haven't challenged him to.
What deficiency? He just got a 4.5 out of 5.
4.5. He's doing great. He's doing better than some movies that are out there on the theater right now. So I mean, what do you want?
What you talking about, Willis?
Great Rotten Tomatoes score. Look, Hey, we coming up on the end of the show here, and we are 10 days away. Coming up is Fan Day on Saturday. Again, volleyball team plays Friday afternoon at 1:00 preseason. Next week, I've already put the word in to try to get Dominique Washington on
All
the
I want to
show.
say is that they don't really care about us.
Hopefully
All I
that
want to
still
say is
holds.
that they don't really care.
Hopefully,
Keep going, man. I'm sorry.
That's all right. No, I'll keep going. I know. Dominique will hopefully be in. It's a Wednesday show. Maybe, just maybe, if Coach Simmons is around, maybe we can get Coach Simmons. It's a Wednesday. I can't imagine the team would travel until Thursday. So we'll kind of see on that. But we'll be talking heavy game number one. So a lot of talk will go into breaking down the units from our team, but also talking about North Carolina, because I tell you, I really think there's an opportunity there, given what North Carolina lost in terms of offense, running back, quarterback position. We have an opportunity
I
to
told
catch them.
y'all. I told y'all at the beginning of the show. COVID. I don't know if COVID was on yet. I told you it's lion season.
It's like, yeah. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do our best here. I love the way you phrased that. You framed that. It's lying season. There you go. Kelvin, your charge as AD. I got to get a poster, volleyball poster too. I want some autographs on my poster. So I can hang it up. You see this wall? This wall is dry back here. So I need to be able to put something up on this back wall, or I got to go get a green screen or something, man. I can't deal with this, but I need a poster so I can put some stuff up at my school where I teach. Let these young
Well,
folks know about
well,
FAMU and how great we are.
word is. I think he said that God willing, you traveling up here, you can get your own damn poster.
God is good. We're gonna find
I mean,
out
that's what you
how good.
said.
Well,
That's what you
yes.
said.
I'm about to find out how good with my finances and my travel before. But in the event that
In
I
the
don't
words,
make it,
But if you cannot make it, I'll try to cover you. I am my brother's keeper.
I
in the
love it,
words of
man. I
Michael
appreciate
Jackson, Shimon.
it. And that's how we're gonna end tonight's show right there. Got to
Shema.
thank FAMU Interim Athletic Director Michael Smith for joining us. Stan Becton. Hopefully, you guys watching YouTube, Facebook, you got some information. Go back and watch the replay. All of this will be available on the BCSN Pod Zone. We'll be having that out in the audio format, so you can go back and download the podcast, the BCSN Pod Zone, everywhere you watch it, or everywhere you listen and download podcasts. Google, iHeartRadio, Apple, Spotify. That's where you can find us, BCSN Pod Zone. And you should always be able to catch this on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Go download on the Apple Store or Google Play Store. Just search My JBN, My BCSN is where you can find it. Make sure to go to Fan Day. And as A.D. Smith said, no hugging of the players. Don't get too close. We can't afford anybody getting sick 10
If you
days or a
sick,
week
stay
away.
home.
Yes, if you are sick, if you got a cough, you stay home. Okay, we don't go up to Tallahassee. Don't go to the Lawsons or Bragg. Don't go there coughing on any players, men or women, just to get an autograph. Okay, don't do it. We need these young people.
By the way, it's community kickoff tomorrow. Also, the community fish fry and everything for the teams tomorrow at the fairgrounds, I believe, around 5-ish. So
Okay,
those who local always know about it, but so that'll be the kickoff before the kickoff.
there you go. When you see Kelvin there, make sure to dap him up. Say hello. He'll be the guy with the hat on, looking fly in the orange and green. You make sure to say hey to Kelvin and shout out the show when you go up there and do that. And hopefully, maybe you'll see all of us on Saturday. At least you'll see one. So anywhere from 1 to 3 of us will be there on Saturday. How about that? That's gonna do it for tonight's show. Got to give a shout out again to my co-host, my producer, our producer tonight, AD Drew, for coming in, bullpen relief for producer Mel, who dealing with some weather issues, but we appreciate him filling in, getting this thing going. So much love. He's a Rattler and making it happen for us. The Great Fest. I'd never heard of this Great Fest thing. It sounds like a great opportunity to get lit, but that was awesome. So I did not know anything about a Great Fest. I learned something new today. You always learn something new when you come to the O&G Strike Zone, ladies and gentlemen. So go tell a friend, go tell another Rattler, and bring them back here next Wednesday night as we get ready for Carolina Week, as we get ready to hashtag beat UNC, beat the Tar Heels, and get the season started off right. So that's going to do it. My name's Brian Fulford. That's Kelvin Rozier, and he's Kofi Hemingway. We are the O&G Strike Zone, and we're just going to tell you Rattlers to make sure to be safe, be smart, and strike, and strike again. Good night.
Say it, Scotty. Say
it. Love you guys.